Title: The Cage of Silence, a Fiction Paradox original story. Brooklyn Carter never imagined starting over would lead her here. She moved to Atlanta to escape the past, to rebuild, to find something that felt like hers again. She wasn't looking for love, she wasn't looking for anything. But then he walked into her life. Elias Grant. Handsome, confident, persistent. For 6 months, he came to the small cafe where she worked, ordering the same black coffee every Friday. No sugar, no cream, just him and that easy smile that made her stomach tighten in ways she tried to ignore. But Brooklyn wasn't easy to break down. She had been hurt before. She knew better than to let a charming man slip past her walls. And yet, week after week, he came back. Always patient, always trying, until one day, she let him in. Their first date was unexpectedly perfect. The way he looked at her, the way he listened, it made her feel safe, like maybe, just maybe, she could trust again. 3 months passed, and Elias seemed like everything she had been missing. He wasn't pushy, he didn't rush her, he was consistent. Brooklyn found herself melting into the rhythm of his presence, and then, one night, she gave him all of her. They made love under candlelight, whispered confessions tangled between breaths. It was raw, beautiful, real. Or so she thought. The next morning, Elias kissed her forehead, promising he'd call later. But he never did. The first day, she waited. The second, she tried to rationalize. Maybe he was busy. Maybe something happened. But by the end of the first week, she knew. She had been ghosted. The man who spent half a year trying to earn her trust had disappeared overnight. No calls, no texts, no Friday visits to the cafe. Brooklyn sat in her dark apartment staring at her silent phone. Her fingers trembled, but her face remained blank. That's when something inside her snapped. She needed to know why. So she watched him. She followed his routine, studied his life like a puzzle. Where he worked, where he went after hours, where he lived. That's when she saw them. A woman, 3 kids, a wife, a family. Brooklyn felt the air leave her lungs as she gripped the steering wheel, parked across the street from his perfect suburban home. It was all a lie. Every smile, every touch, every whispered word. Elias Grant had never been hers. He had never been real. Her fingers tightened. Her heartbeat slowed. She knew what she had to do. Brooklyn spent weeks planning, calculating, crafting the perfect prison. And when the time was right, she took him. Elias woke up in darkness, his limbs heavy, unresponsive. He tried to move. Nothing. His body was frozen, but his mind was fully awake. And then he saw her. Brooklyn stood on the other side of a glass enclosure, arms folded, her expression eerily calm. "Good morning, sweetheart," she murmured. His breath hitched. "Brooklyn? What is this? What did you do?" She smiled. "Welcome home." The cage was soundproof, the walls reinforced, unbreakable. No doors, no escape. She had spent months building it, perfecting it. "You're awake, but your body won't move," she explained, kneeling beside the glass. "It's a special little drug I created. You'll feel everything, but you won't be able to fight back." Elias's eyes were wide, frantic. He tried to scream, but no one could hear him. Brooklyn leaned in, brushing her fingers against the glass. "You stole from me. My time, my trust, my heart. Now, I'm going to steal something from you." She tilted her head. "Your freedom." Days turned into weeks. Elias screamed, begged, cried. But Brooklyn never hurt him. Not physically. She fed him, bathed him, dressed him. She took care of him. And every now and then, she drugged him again. She would crawl into the cage beside him, curl her body against his, kiss his lips while he lay there, fully conscious but unable to move. The paralysis lasted 6 hours each time, enough for her to whisper in his ear, stroke his face, hold him close. "Isn't this what you wanted?" she would murmur. "For me to let you in?" Elias wept silently. Brooklyn only smiled. But the worst part? Every day his family saw him. At exactly 6 p.m., a video feed would go live. His wife and children would stare at the screen, watching him trapped inside the cage. They called for him. They begged for answers. But Elias couldn't speak. Brooklyn had muted the audio. He could hear them, see their pain, but they couldn't hear him. They could only watch, day after day, week after week, knowing he was alive, but never knowing where he was. Brooklyn sat beside the cage, sipping a glass of wine as Elias's wife sobbed on the screen. She turned to him, brushing a hand through his unkempt hair. "Now you know how it feels," she whispered. Elias's body trembled. His eyes were empty. Brooklyn just smiled. She had won. Years passed. Elias never escaped. His family moved on. The search for him faded into nothing. Brooklyn still watched him, her obsession never fading. He wasn't a person anymore, just a pet, a prisoner. A man who had once been so free, so untouchable, now nothing more than a ghost in a cage. "Time," Brooklyn murmured, tracing her fingers down the glass. "Time is all you have left." And then she turned off the lights. Elias never saw daylight again.